Next. During her grandfather's reign, Elizabeth was third in the line of succession to the British throne behind her uncle Edward and her father. So, third in line. So, the king, let's just take a look. The king at the time, then Edward is next in line, and her father. So, then Edward's brother. There is Elizabeth. Her younger and only sister Margaret was next in the line. Margaret comes next. When her grandfather died in 1936 and her uncle succeeded as Edward VIII, she became second in line to the throne. So when Edward becomes king, she was now second in line after her father. Later that year, Edward abdicated without any issue after his proposed marriage to divorced socialite Wallis Simpson provoked a constitutional crisis. So Edward married Wallis and he abdicates. He leaves the throne. And because he has no children, it now has to go to the brother. So the brother is now the king. And the reason why he had to do this, because when you marry somebody who is a divorcee, it provokes a constitutional crisis. The king is not supposed to do that because it goes against the tenets of Christianity apparently. Therefore, it's not possible for you to do that as king. Consequently, Elizabeth's father became king, taking the original name George V. So he became King George the 6th. Sorry, not the 5th, the 6th. Since Elizabeth had no brother, she became heir presumptive. HP. If her parents had subsequently had a son, he would have been heir apparent. So heir presumptive, because if there comes a male child, then it's not going to go to Elizabeth. It is going to the son. He would have risen above her in the line of succession, which was determined by male preference primogeniture. Male preference, there was a because HP, because male preference primogeniture. Okay. As against female preference primogeniture or primogeniture simpliciter in effect at the time. George VI's health declined during 1951 and Elizabeth frequently stood in for him at public events. Stood in for him was always available to go to public events instead of him. When she toured Canada and visited President Truman in Washington, D.C. in October 1951, her private secretary, Martin Chartres, carried a draft accession declaration in case of the king's death while she was on tour. In early 1952, Elizabeth and Philip set out for a tour of Australia and New Zealand by way of the British colony of Kenya. On 6 February 1952, they had just returned to the Kenyan homes, Sagana Lodge, after a night spent at Treetops Hotel, when word arrived of the death of George VI and Elizabeth's consequent accession to the throne with immediate effect. Philip broke the news to the new queen. She chose to retain Elizabeth as her regnal name. Thus, she was called Elizabeth II, which offended many Scots as she was the first Elizabeth to rule in Scotland. She was proclaimed queen throughout her realms and the royal party hastily returned to the United Kingdom. Elizabeth and Philip moved into Buckingham Palace. This is basically a timeline of events, right? So George's health going down, so Elizabeth is taking over some of the public responsibilities of the king, where she's going to these events in place of the king, right? And there's a situation where when she visited Washington DC, they were carrying the accession documents declaration in case the king does die during the tour. And then when eventually when they were on a tour of when they were in Kenya touring touring Australia and New Zealand, is when the king dies, and then the queen is then made she's made the queen, right? She chose to retain Elizabeth as her name. That offended some Scots. That's it. All right, let's take a look at the questions. Elizabeth's father had to ascend the throne because Edward had to step down. So look, the correct reason he had to step down. The reason he had to step down was because his marriage caused a constitutional crisis. Edward was a king without an heir. That was not the reason to step down. Edward was involved in a controversy. Yes, he was. Edward objected to the line of succession. That's not what is given. Edward wished to marry the same year as his father's death. Absolutely not. None of these reasons are given. B is the right answer. There was controversy involved with this marriage to Wallis Simpson. The word provoked in the line provoked a constitutional crisis refers to deliberately rousing anger. No, it was not deliberate. The anger was not deliberately roused. It caused anger, right? Giving rise to a reaction. Yes, this looks like a good pick. Let me check. Pressuring for a response. No, again, there is no intention. Denying responsibility is totally incorrect. So, B is my right answer. Giving rise to a reaction, doing something that gives rise to a reaction, although it was not necessarily pressured or deliberate. What can be inferred as common between the understanding to heir apparent and heir presumptive? Heir apparent and heir presumptive. Queen Elizabeth II was heir presumptive because of male primogeniture, right? Male preference. So if the male preference was there, therefore she was heir presumptive, because at that time, if the king had a male child, then he would have been the heir apparent. So if you have the king and you have next in, and this is remember, this is in very specific condition, that is male primogeniture only, right? So if you have a male child, this becomes the heir apparent. Nobody can supersede him, right? Unless he dies or something happens with him. This is the situation. Now, in this case, you had a female child as the eldest, right? So in this case, Elizabeth was heir presumptive, because if king decides to have a male child or gets a male child by some miracle, then he is the heir apparent and not Elizabeth. All right, that is the situation. But again, like I mentioned, this is in case of male preference primogeniture. If it were female preference, then if it were female preference, then Elizabeth would have been the heir apparent. What this question is asking you to do is saying, what is the difference really between being heir apparent and heir presumptive? In both the examples of male preference primogeniture and female preference, the difference is the birth of another, even the possibility. In this case, queen was heir presumptive because the birth of another could have turned her not into the heir, right? And that child would then have been, if male, would have been the heir apparent. Brothers, no. While this works in this specific scenario, it works, but what is really the answer is the birth of another. That's what makes you from a heir presumptive to heir apparent. That's what makes that shift. If you're heir presumptive, simply put, if you're heir presumptive, meaning there is a situation in which the birth of another could make you not next in line. All right. Parental support and age are incorrect. The phrasal verb stood in is used in the line stood in for him at public events. Okay, went in place, right? Select the option that does not display a phrasal verb. Very simply, it's just asking what other phrasal verbs can you see? Get by, make ends meet. This is a phrasal verb. Perfect, no problem. Break down, to collapse, is another phrasal verb. Double-minded is an adjective. It's a descriptor. It's an adjective. No. Fall apart is to, again, something like collapse or disintegrate, right? So this is my answer, right? I'm looking for the one that does not. A, B, and D are all phrasal verbs except C. Select the option that negates the given opinion based on the textual information. The Scots objected to Elizabeth's accession. No, Elizabeth became the undisputed monarch as the heir of George VI. Yeah, fair enough. No, the Scottish people embraced Elizabeth because of her Scottish lineage. No, she had no Scottish lineage. No, Elizabeth was hastily crowned queen at Buckingham Palace. No. No, Philip only shared the news of the death of George Elizabeth. We have no ways to include these. A is the answer.